Oh gosh, I hope this is working. Hello. Okay, cool, because I don't have any kind of like registration on the mic or anything like that through the program. This is my first time using YouTube directly through YouTube itself for doing a stream, which has very limited options. I tried using my OBS Studio and I could not get it up and working. So give me a little bit, just make sure I can get this all figured out. Make sure everything's up and running properly. I would prefer to have two cameras so I can actually look at the screen and you guys can see that I'm looking at the chat, but it doesn't allow me to have more than one camera set up. I've been fighting with this for 2 hours now. Hello, Jay. Trying to figure out if I can make the chat screen bigger. Thought there was a way I could. Guess not. I knew there used to be a way I could do it. Oh, goodness. Yeah, it's been a struggle trying to get this up and working. It used to be so easy.
Did you get it figured out?
I'm using YouTube's direct stream service. I'm not using OBS, and it's up and working.
I figured that was an option,
even
if it wasn't the ideal option.
No, it's not ideal because I don't have any kind of real like access to volume for my mic or like camera settings or anything. Like it's like I can use one camera and that's it.
Yeah.
Like I can't use my secondary camera. So well,
it's better than nothing.
It works.
Anything is
It took 2 hours, but finally got it to work.
Yeah, well,
it
won't take 2 hours next time.
Me. It will, because I really want to get OBS working, but I'll ask Riley to help me out with that in the future.
Proud of you, huh?
Thank you, BB. Hi, Tough Cookie.
You what cookie?
I'm a tough cookie.
Oh, yeah.
I wish I could figure out a way to make the chat text bigger, though.
Wow. Oh.
I know, it's so snowy outside. So yeah, if anybody finds it weird that this does not look like a normal area at the shop, because I'm not at the shop. We actually are closed today because of the storms. So I brought work home, and I got my area set up with plastic. There's plastic on the floor too, and I'll be putting an apron on here in a minute.
Why is the camera behind you?
So whenever I am casting and working, they can see what I'm doing.
Well, it's like you're playing a game in third person, but you're the game.
I'm the game. Yep.
I was so best one of my live streams. They were playing Jess.
Playing just POV.
POV. You're an artist. This game is really hard. I've heard it's very unfair.
Yeah, Jay, I did one live stream last week and it was super easy through my phone, and I was trying to use my computer this time to do a live stream, and I got everything all set up. I got all the cameras set up, and I was actually quite impressed with like their layout of like the different options you could have for your camera settings and effects and all that kind of stuff. I had it all set up. And then it was saying that I couldn't stream. Like it was just saying I couldn't stream. So then I tried on my phone because I used my phone before. And when I went to go and try a live stream, it says, "Oh, verify your age." I'm like, why now? Why are you asking me to verify my age now? So I did that whole process. It's, oh, now you gotta wait 24 hours for your age to be verified. And then when I tried to go and live stream on there, it also said that you have to have all of these requirements before you can stream. And it says you have to have 10,000 views or something like that, or yeah, I think no, or 10,000 subscribers to live stream. I'm like, then how was I able to live stream last week? I only have 5,500. Yeah, it's a business account. The DvC one's a business account. This one here is my personal YouTube, but the TikTok is a business account. So I had to do like a mini recording and then upload that in order to explain to people to come here if they want to see a live stream, because it just wasn't working. Really wish I could make this chat bigger because I don't have my glasses and it's hard to read. I know there's a way to like make it bigger. Oh, I figured it out. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Big text I can see now. Maybe, but I'll have to figure it out another time because I'm supposed to already have a skull casted by now. So I'll definitely check more into it later. Because I already have the cups all set up here. I've already got the powder in the cups soaking, so it's ready to go. I'm just going to try to cast as many skulls as I can. But it's all white outside. I don't know if you can see through that little window there, but most of that is sleet, not snow. And that's how Texas be. Okay, go grab myself some caffeine real quick. I was so excited to be able to do the live stream on TikTok. It was a really big hit, and I had a lot of people that were asking a lot of questions, and it was nice just to be able to answer them right off the spot. So that kind of stinks. So I'm hoping I can get that figured out for the future. Pretty much I figured it out. It's not under accessibility. Maybe content preferences? No. Live. See, it's like giving me like the ability to go and create like a live event. But it's not like, I don't know. Technology's hard. Ah. Now I was able to hit the my number lock button was on, so I was messing things up. I was able to do Control Plus to blow up the text, so now I can see it from a distance. My distance vision is pretty bad, so I have a hard time, especially reading white on black text like that from a distance if it's normal size. So I have to like blow it up. So if I'm like scooting back here, which I'm going to be casting here, I can actually see it. I'm gonna go find some music. Music. Yeah, if anybody has any questions at any point, just let me know. Are you saying I need to switch to my personal account settings on my company account? Because the thing is, it let me stream last week, and I used the company account, so why is it a problem now? Either way, I'm going to wait 24 hours to see if that age verification thing unblocks it. But I would prefer to be able to stream on my computer if I can, because I actually have the ability to use 2 separate screens. But I guess we'll have to see. We'll have to see how that turns out. this. I haven't done skulls in a bit. No, I'm just wearing proper PPE gear, that's all. Because as you can see, rotocasting classic makes a mess. You get splashes on you, so wearing an apron and also wearing a respirator because my face is going all up in this. Okay, Jay, I'll keep that in mind. I'll mess with it later. So just so you guys know, the skulls are one of our probably more intense rotocasting molds we have because we have an upper and a lower. We have to actually do the tooth layer, its own layer first, and then we do the rotocasting after that, in order to make sure that we have the tooth all covered and we get all the bubbles out. We use this little guy to get the bubbles out. Put the stick. So I'm just using this to get the little metal tip into each tooth. I'm doing a little swirl motion, and that releases any bubbles that might be caught into the teeth. And then they'll rise to the surface and they'll pop. And we do the same kind of process when we're doing jaw sets as well. Yeah, sorry. Yes, it's a very good respiratory mask. Sorry about that. I'll try to make sure that I respond or I talk in between doing castings whenever I don't have it up on my face. It's fine when it's sitting there. It's just whenever you're looking in there and casting it, it's not good to have it up by your face. I'm trying to be a good example. We don't want people to assume that this stuff is okay to be breathing in all the time when it's in its curing state. Once it's fully cured, it's fine. It's just when the two chemicals are reacting to each other, it's not good to have it up by your face. The only thing that I have set for today is try to cast as many skulls as I can. Everybody else has off today, but since we're a little bit behind on our list for December, I'm trying my best to help out two of my employees with their lists, so I'm trying to cast as many skulls as I can between today and tomorrow, if we don't go into the shop tomorrow. It all depends on what the weather does. We may go into the shop on Friday if the roads clear up and it stops storming overnight. So there's nothing really like fun to say. It's it's just people were asking if I could do another live stream, and sadly there's only like a couple people, but I don't know. I had a lot of problems, as I was saying earlier, with the streaming services, so I was like, well, let's go back to old school. YouTube works. So I'll just be casting a whole bunch of these guys, and you can kind of see the process of it. But right now, I'm waiting for it to cure. I can start seeing it. I don't know if you guys can see that. Probably not. It's too dark over there. But I might have to attach a light to that camera so you guys can see. But you're also going to hear chicken noises in the background because I have a couple of my chickens indoors. I have little colds that are being treated. Okay. That layer is ready for the next. Let me see if I can. See if I can get it to work like this. You can see down there, the tooth layer is now covered in resin. And it's like that for both the upper and the lower. So now I can go start the rotocasting process. But the first layer of rotocasting is the most crucial because you have to make sure that you release any bubbles from your model surface. So what I'll do is I'll take my little finger stick and I'll just kind of rub it along all those crack lines that are on the skull. And that releases any little micro bubbles from the surface. But I'm going to put my mask back on to do this, and I'll answer any questions after I'm done rotocasting this layer. Bless you, Berkey. Okay, now I've released all the bubbles. I'm going to get a quick spray of more release to pop those bubbles. And I'm going to continue rotocasting all the way around. There's something in there I don't want. No, we haven't gotten any emails from FWA yet. I don't really have very high prospects because we were asking for 2 tables. So if they have any extra spaces, a problem and give it to a bunch of artists that want single tables. I don't think there's ever been a situation where we've been waitlisted for a con and then they contacted us later and had an opening. It's either you get in the first time or you just don't get in. At least for us. I don't know about other people. But we do have Anther Expo coming up here at the end of January into February. So we're going to. It's a little tiny con. It's going to have maybe like 1,200 people there. At least it's something. If they didn't already have like the Artist Alley closed for TFF, I would probably try to apply for that and have just sell a couple things, but they've already booked up for that as well. And I don't want to be like a pest to Shiva, and I'll be like messaging her and be like, hey, is there any way you can squeeze in? Because that's not fair. There's no reason why we should be exempted in any way compared to other artists. Everybody deserves a fair chance. So pretty much with rotocasting, the best way to do rotocasting is one, just keep the material moving. And you know, once you understand how the liquids move, it's a lot easier to figure out if you need like for it to like pile up in one section and kind of flip it over a hump, or an edge is a little difficult to do with a less amount of resin. But recognizing the timing and when the material starts gelling up into when it's going to kick and cure. Make sure you don't get thick areas or clumpy areas. You never want to just kind of set it down when it's still liquidy, because that's when you get like thin areas or super, super thick areas. You want to make sure that it's nice and coated and gelled before you stop moving it and working with it. But then you also run situations that if your material is too warm and you have a situation where your shop space is hot, then you get what's called a flash cure. And you're rotocasting it and it starts gelling up, and all of a sudden, like that, it just kicks, and you get this giant glob of resin. And it's pretty much either you're able to grind it out with a belt sander, or it's considered a faulty item. That's one thing I've always like tried helping out fellow artists that are just getting into resin casting. When I go like check out their table and I'm looking at their heads, and I notice that they're running situations where their casts are super front heavy or super back heavy, and they got thin spots and stuff. And I ask them like, hey, what's your casting method? And also, do you add any filler to your second and third layers to help build up that thickness without letting it kind of clump in an area? And usually about half the time when people first get into this, they're not using fillers. And that makes rotocasting very difficult without the fillers. Fillers helps kind of like thicken it up, gel it, and it sticks to the side walls better. It's not as liquidy. Yeah, I mean, that's going to happen though. Like, you're going to get a lot of new artists in, and these like little spurts, time ages essentially, when people start getting into doing crafting. I mean, the experience level that these new artists are coming in at is absolutely amazing though. But nowadays is a lot more easily accessible to get into this kind of stuff than it was whenever we first started out. So they got kind of a jump start with it. You could do a Google search or a YouTube search on how to build a full costume from these amazing artists. They're able to produce some really nice stuff from the get-go. when I first started out, I couldn't even get access to thermoplastics. I was trying to go to freaking hospitals for Cobra Cast, which is a thermoplastic used for castings, temporary casts for people who break their foot or tear a tendon or something. And now you got Warbla and Sintra and Wonderflex and who knows what other brands. The thermoplastics are easily accessible and specifically made for costume making. It's amazing. Also, I have this tool right here, which is just a big tongue compressor that I cut into an angle, and it works great for scraping up the plastic resin in areas where it's dripped and moving it to another area that you need it. Also, it keeps areas from getting too thick and in those spots that you should be snapping off later on. Yeah, piece of black plastic. I will not be recording this video, so I really don't care if it has copyright music in the background. The bubble right down on the top. Okay, it's all gelled up. Or like get a freaking, yeah, you can see a little bit, but it's just clear right now. This one, the first layer here, was ready for another layer. This would be the first layer of fill layers. I know somebody asked me earlier what my favorite thing, I think it was something like my favorite thing to cast or my favorite thing to make. Oh, Sans asked, what would I say is the most fun thing to make out of our shop? Ooh, I would say probably specialty skulls, just because it's so much fun to do. Like, not so much like ones we would have in our shop, but we actually have artistic freedom to make them, because then we can add whatever we want in the different layers, and it's a lot of fun to see how they turn out. Because you can always like guess what they're going to turn out like, but it's never exactly how you think, which is the fun part. It's kind of like opening a Christmas present. Every time you take a skull out of a mold that's got multiple layers of like mica powders, glow powders, and glitters and stuff. But yeah, if anybody has any questions at all about our products or costume stuff, just let me know and I'll get to your question as soon as I can. I have to wear the respirator when I do the upper head because it's so much more resin, but the lower I don't need it so much because I don't have it as close to me, but it's more open. It's easier for me to see where the liquid plastic is moving at a distance. This stuff isn't super volatile. It's just not good to be like breathing in the fumes up close for long periods of time. It's no more dangerous than like spray paint at a distance. Actually, spray paint's not a good example. It's more like hairspray. Spray paint's actually kind of bad because those little like paint particles get your lungs build up. No worries. Yeah, finishing skulls is way more fun than mass casting skulls. Actually getting a chance to like put in special features on the skulls, horns and spikes, and doing the staining and making the fur hoods for them, that's a lot of fun. That's something I enjoy doing. I was really hoping like to implement this last year, but didn't get to. We got too caught up in orders. But I really wanted to actually design a pattern for each one of my skulls and start making like pre-made hoods, fur hoods with ears on them and stuff, and have them like set up on like mannequin stands at cons, and people could choose a fur hood they would want to attach to a skull, and they get to pick their skull. As long as it's the right species and matches up, then we can attach them all together at the event, and they can have an all new fursuit head to wear at the event and have. And then they can still put more accessories and additions onto them later on if they wanted. But that was on like I think I have like a list here up on the wall that's like make hoods for all skulls, make patterns for all skull hoods. Just never got around to doing it. I might try to do that for this year, just because people are wanting more completed things at conventions versus buying the parts and doing it later. Okay. Next. Honestly, I'll probably only do a stream for this one skull and then I'll stop. I know it's really not that entertaining. I'll just concentrate on casting a couple boards today. And well, depending on how things go tomorrow, if I'm stuck at home again, then I'll cast a couple skulls, not stream, and then I'll work on these fursuit heads like I do for DvC. One of them's a feminine wolf character, and the other one's a Serval. And they're both at different stages. The feminine wolf is close to getting the hood attached and glued down, where the Serval, I need to do eyelids, which I'll probably do tonight because I have to wait for those to cure, and then start doing the pattern work on the skull, or sorry, on the Serval. And that's a lot more fun. But we'll see what the weather looks like tomorrow. If I'll be doing that or not. Because I prefer we have the shop open so everybody can go in and work on their lists. But yeah. This is the problem I'm running into if I try to do a live stream thing or a live recording on TikTok. chickens. I'm guessing you're asking about, Jay, you're asking about the small raptor claws they usually order for your scale mail arms. I was gonna say because the amount of casts I can go through for a mold, it's really hard to keep track of because I have like 8 or 10 set molds of the shiny small raptor claws specifically because your orders are so big. So like those molds last for years. So I don't even know how many casts that they take before they start ripping out and finally are retired, or they start losing their shine. It's a lot. Like it's not like the claws are probably something less abrasive of the molds besides eyeballs. So like the eye molds last a very, very long time because you're easily just popping them out. They don't have any ridges or underhooks or anything like that. And then the claws last a pretty long time. It really comes down to like the head molds that don't last very long just because the material is so like it has to be brushed on in layers. So like the silicone's done in layers. So they're usually having to stretch and flip the molds inside out in order to get the resin cast out or the foam cast out. So they're under a lot more strain than claws. Claws, you just kind of twist them like an ice cube tray and you pop them out. So they last a very long time. So anytime that we're selling like claw molds and the silicone's still very fresh, those will last years, years and years. The platinum silicone never goes bad. It doesn't like degrade like the tin cured silicones do. So you can have a mold. Like I have molds that are 15 years old. No, actually, oh, 18 years old, 18, 20 years old, and they've only been cast into a handful of times for cosplay, and they're still just as brand new as they were when I first made them, just because they haven't been casted into. Like the molds can just sit on a shelf and just last forever. No, you're not gonna break molds. I did take a sneak peek at your pile though. It was 3.5 pages. Your order alone was 3.5 pages. I'm like, oh my goodness, my brain. But yeah, if I can get the live streaming up and working, I'd be more than happy to live stream with you whenever I'm working on your order and doing your colors. So we can do live input back and forth on what kind of crazy castings you want. I'm guessing the 4-layer claws that I saw on there are ones you're going to want that special pour spout for. So I might ask Angie if we can order more than one of those because I have to wait for the material to cure in there after it's been poured before I can remove material and do the next color. I do love those pours. I would love to do more of those because they are gorgeous. Also, my husband is home right now too, so if you hear a human stirring in the background, that's him. Don't be sorry. Thank you for the orders. Everybody's orders is what's helping keep us open right now. Oh, there's still quite a bit. There's not very much as far as like the Mylar flakes that you got a while back, but there's still tons of the special glitter effects, especially those bigger containers that you bought. Barely even touch those. Because most of the bigger ones are like hexagon flakes, which take up a lot of space in the claws. They don't really look as good, in my opinion, because they're so bulky. They just take up a lot of space. So it all kind of blends together. So I don't really use those very much as far as whenever you give me artistic freedom. That's why one of the last times, whenever you're giving artistic freedom, I was trying to use up a lot of those little tiny containers just to get them gone. Because they really aren't enough on their own to do claws. You have to mix a couple of them together to have enough for a set of claws. I'm trying to, I mean, metallic flakes look awesome. You have a lot of medium-sized bottles of those still, like the gold and silver. I think you had one that was like blue, silver, copper, gold, all together, which was gorgeous. A straight silver one. I think a silver and black one. I'd have to go and check, but I know you have a lot of like bottles are like this big still left too. And yeah, those are gorgeous. Especially because the heat of the resin causes them to like do weird stuff. Like either they'll degrade and turn into smaller flakes when you're mixing it, or they'll curl up. Like, especially the colored ones, the ones that are like purple and blue, they like curl up into little like cannolis. I was explaining, they're little cannolis of foil. Yeah, the little tiny containers are like this. Like they're good, like to just kind of test out. The clear mylar flakes are really pretty. I just don't know if you're able to get those in bigger containers. I do love working with those. Like I do have a container at work that is the holographic mylar flakes, but they're white. And I do love using those for crystal effects. Okay, we're on the last layer now, the skull. This layer is black. Use Onyx Fast for it. So essentially, whenever we're casting these, we're casting them in 4 layers of their prime color, which this one's 320. It's a bone color. And then the last layer is Onyx Fast, which is naturally dyed black. well, not really naturally dyed, but it's automatically already dyed black. And we cast this layer in order to prevent any reflection inside the mask. It also just blacks it all out. It looks nicer. So if somebody's looking into your mask, it's just a big black void versus whatever color the mask is. Saves you guys the trouble of having to paint the inside of your mask. Like I remember when we first started doing this, people were so blown away, like, do you spray paint the inside of your mask? And I'm like, no, we cast it in black plastic. Like, do that to stop the reflection in there. And a lot of our like heads, when we bring the cons down, we automatically just cast the entire head in black. Just because it saves you time from having to like black out areas like the tear duct vision and the lips and around the eyes. And it's already black. And the way that furs are so much higher quality nowadays than they were back when I first started, you can use a black base mask and it's not going to show through the white fur if you're using white. That was a big problem, 10 years ago or so when the quality of furs was really bad and it was thin. If you shaved it down, then you could see the color of whatever you have underneath through the fur. Like it was green foam, you could see the green foam. If it was a black mask with black paint, you could see that through. But nowadays, that's not so much of a problem. I honestly just preferred working with a full black mask because it saves a lot of time. Saves a lot of prep work. Yes, this is the K9 skull mold. It's a two-part mold, upper and lower jaw. Teeth are fully installed. We try to have in between 3 to 6 of these molds in use at a time, just because they're one of our more popular head models. And they are also one of the molds that tears out and dries out faster than most of ours, because of the level of detail on them. When you're trying to pull the plastic out, they can tend to tear at those little crack lines, little nasal passages in the front. The teeth layers tear the molds pretty quick. So like this mold's in really good shape, and it was made 11/19/2024. I have another mold in that container that's a bit older, and I bet it was probably made around September, and it's already starting to show some damage in the tooth layers. Oh, mold death really depends on the mold. It depends on the shape of the product. I was telling Jay Creations here, because they're asking about the small raptor claws that we have, asking how many casts we can do before it dies. Well, those last years, so they can probably go through hundreds of castings and be fine, because they're like basically like ice cube tray molds. So the silicone is not under as much wear and tear. However, in situations like these canine skulls, where there's a lot of extra detail on them and the silicone is stretched and pulled and flipped, it causes the silicone to tear out and get abrasions and other kinds of imperfections a lot faster. So our skull molds only last for about half a year because of that. And our mannequins that we also make are the same, because the rigid foam that we use is very abrasive and it tends to dry out the platinum silicones pretty quick. Even though we're using mold release on these every layer, or not every layer, but every time we cast, we're using mold release to help increase the longevity of the molds. It still only does so much for prevention. We're hoping to start implementing some new ways of doing our mannequin molds that'll make them more like quick for us to be able to make molds, because it takes us 2 weeks to make one mannequin mold in between doing orders. We get a 3-part mold. This is a 2-part mold. The mannequin is a 3-part mold. That's a 3D printed model. We're actually hoping we can figure out a better way of doing it. Doing the mold making where we can actually just do pour in silicone versus doing the brush on layers. Because the brush on layers do take a really long time to do. The onyx layer is a drippy layer. This is the one that really makes a mess, and why it's important to put plastic down. It gets so thick and jelly. Actually dump out some. I might have actually a little bit too much resin in here. That's one of these causing problems. Drippy, drippy, drippy. Stop it. Well, like I said, it's a multitude of things that contribute to a mold breaking down. Either the material itself is very harsh, it heats up and causes the silicone to get dried out, or situations where the silicone gets flipped or has areas where it's kind of like a hook, whatever the casting is, and causes it to rip. It really depends on the mold. Depends on the mold, depends on the model. Our heads don't last as long as our claws. Our horns last longer than heads, but it depends on the horn, because also our antlers tend to not last very long because they have a lot of little like knobbies and little sections to them that can rip. That's another reason why we want to try downsizing, because we have so many molds right now. It's really, really hard to keep up with doing orders and doing molds at the same time. Like between myself and Aaron, we're working on molds and we're working on orders. Aaron's one of my employees. I've also taught him how to do all the molds in the shop, but when he has like a skull mold or a mannequin mold, that's pretty much like the only mold that he can work on at a time, because they take up so much time to do. This would be working on orders too. Okay, that is the process of slush casting a skull. I usually don't pull this one until I have another skull casted. And then once that's casted, then I can pull this one from the mold, so it gives it ample time for it to fully cure. I'm gonna wait for this to cure before I mess with getting that cleaned off. And it's just a continuous process of getting cut set up for the next step. And just keep doing it in a repetitive manner, one after another. Make sure you always shake your containers. So while that one's curing, I set up cups for the next skull. Because my stream started so late, I'm probably only going to be able to get 3 skulls casted today. I was having so much trouble trying to get it up and going. I was going to try to get 4 done today, but I think it's only 3. The skulls themselves take about 45 minutes or so to cast. And that's not taking into the fact of pulling them from the molds and getting the molds cleaned out and set up for the next set. So if anybody ever questions why our skulls cost more money, well, yeah, the process of making them is a lot. A lot of steps that go into making them, because every single one is casted by hand. Jay, are you asking about the 4 labor fours? Because I think I only did 1 test casting, and it did come out the way I wanted. And then the second casting I did let the material sit a bit longer to start heating up. And then that's the one that I ended up sending you, which was the good one. It honestly didn't take me very long to figure out because we had already been doing similar pour methods with silicone, helping my husband out with his small business. So I already knew that there's going to have to be like a period of waiting for the material to thicken up before pouring in order to get those distinct layers. I just didn't know what the timing was exactly. But then once I got the first one poured and I saw that it was doing a lot of blending, I'm like, okay, so I gotta wait a little bit longer for it. And then it worked. The biggest thing that I noticed is that I have to pour a little bit of resin into the tip of the claw and use my picker and pick a bubble out the tip because since the material is gelling and thickened up, it encapsulates that like bubble on the tip. It doesn't release it. So I can't just pour the swirl on the triple cup or the quad cup, sorry, it's quad cup. And then hope that comes out good. Yeah. There we go, okay. I don't think it's ready yet. Nope. The onyx takes longer to cure than the bone does, and it's the last layer, so it's solid, but it's not stiff yet. Ooh, giant snowflakes. There's like snowflakes falling outside like the size of dimes, like the size of my thumbnail. That might seem normal for some of you to actually get winter. Down in Texas, it's very rare. It's very rare we get snow. Mostly it's freezing rain and ice, which right now it's more a mixture of ice out there, but there's definitely giant snowflakes coming down too. I'm from the Northeast, so I very much miss actually having snow. It's pretty. Okay, so you're saying that if I go in here and if I change my TikTok account to my personal account, then maybe it'll let me do stream. Apps and service permissions. Yes, no, it's up. Might have to do some Google searching to figure out. See if I can figure this out. want to figure this out, but boy, I'm not tech savvy. It makes me so upset that it won't let me just do it. Well, yeah, I can switch to my personal account, but people aren't following my personal account. Like, I know I can switch to my personal account from my work account, but people aren't following it, so they might not even know that I'm streaming from there. Because I also downloaded it. Where did it go? I also did TikTok Live Studio. Using my head to block my password. Ugh. But yeah, I'm going to go ahead and turn on this or turn off this stream, and I'm going to do some experimenting with the TikTok stuff so I can get that figured out again. Because I'll be doing more casting like this. Oh, giant snowflakes. switch to personal account. I don't know about that. I don't know if it's worth doing live streams because it says if I switch it to my personal account, my business account will no longer show our business website or email, and they'll be responsible for any violations or business account. But, well, I'm not worried about that part. But at one point, I do want to try to get the TikTok shop set up too. So, that's not worth it. I guess if anything, if I want to do live streams, I could just do it through my personal account, and I can just let people know through a little notification thing on Dream Vision Creations TikTok that I'll be doing streams over there. Just sucks. Oh, thank you so much, Jay. Thanks for the recommendations. I'll check it out. But with that, I'm going to go ahead and close the stream down. So, if anything, I might do streams here when I'm working on like costumes on the side, not doing crazy costumes, but personal stuff here at the house. And I'll try to get this set up better because right now I'm streaming directly through YouTube Studio. And normally I use my OBS program, which has a lot more ability to have multiple cameras set up, and I can do more adjustments. This is like I literally just set it up, and it's like, okay, poof, there's video. I got no ability to change how the quality is or anything. Yeah, our TikTok account is still very new. We only have like 5,000 followers. So I guess once we get up to the 10K, that's the bridge. And once you cross that, then TikTok's like, oh, okay, you're official now. Now you're allowed to do stuff. That's a lot of people. That's a lot of followers. And that's it. As you tell, I'm home because there's cats. Thank you all for stopping by.